I'm Ray Barry, and this is the Audio Wave Cafe podcast. On this episode, I have John Hewitt, Dec Byrne, and Bob Hackett. They are members of Midland's 8-piece soul band Soul Junction. They talk about touring the UK and Ireland, and well-known artists and bands that they've played with, and also going into the studio to record their first original song. My topic this episode is the power of music, and I'll be shining a spotlight on Northern Soul. Several months ago, John Hewitt and I sat down and recorded our thoughts on 80s band Squeeze. That's coming up later. Oh, and I'll also be playing Soul Junction's new song, Love Crush. That's it, let's move on. I know from experience that music has had a beneficial effect on my mental well-being, specifically certain songs that whenever I listen to them still have the power to affect my emotions, and I believe this is an experience shared by all of us. And it's this compelling relationship between memory and music that is being used in therapy for those suffering from depression, dementia and other illnesses. For a long time, researchers believed that listening to classical music triggered a phenomenon known as the Mozart effect, which increased brain activity, making listeners smarter, which is an unproven opinion. Though today, medical professionals are convinced music has a role to play in lighting up the lives of those suffering from mental illness. On the 13th of December at St Luke's Church in Chelsea, London, Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend of The Who will perform an acoustic set with other artists at a special Christmas carol service to raise money for Nordoff Robbins, a music therapy charity sponsored by Hypnosis Songs. The Who have been supporting the charity since 1976. Roger Daltrey said recently, "What Nordoff Robbins does with music makes such a positive change to people's lives, whether a young person with autism or living with dementia." His charity's own website states, "Through music therapy, human potential is recognised regardless of profound disabilities, illness or social exclusion." Over the years, Nordoff Robbins has helped almost 9,000 people through its own trained music therapists, which includes assisting the most vulnerable children and adults with extreme life challenges, such as injuries, disabilities and terminal illness. A study by Brunel University involving 7,000 patients recovering from surgery found that those who had played music felt less anxiety and pain and less likely to need pain relievers than those who had not listened to music. Of course, musicians have always understood just what it takes to lift our spirits. So I have to tip my hat to all those music therapists who have made such a positive impact on the lives of thousands of vulnerable people through the power of music. Today I have with me three members of Soul Junction, a soul music covers band. They are Bob Hackett, bass guitar, John Hewitt, drums, and Dec Byrne, tenor and baritone sax. Guys, it's a pleasure having you join me today.
Good to see you, Ray.
Yeah, good to see you, Ray. Dec, how long has the current lineup been playing together?
We started the band, I started the band in 2011 and sort of went to my go-to drummer, which was John, played with him many years ago in a band called Team 23. A guy called Dave Gedney, who's everybody in Coventry knows, very well-known and really good guitarist. And Bob Hackett, who was playing with the Roxy music tribute band and wanted to get back into the soul side of things. So I gave Bob a ring and the rest is history, as they say. And that was in 2011. So about 11 years ago now, going on 12 years.
Now, you've got to have a lot of members in your band, being a soul band.
At the moment, we've got 8. We did go up to 11 at one stage. We had 3 girl singers, a guy singer, 3-piece brass section, keyboards. We've actually now dropped the keyboards because it's more authentic. The old soul bands never used a keyboard. It was all people like Gino Washington always used just guitars, which is the way we've gone back a little bit, sort of regressed to. And the current lineup's the great musicians. We're loving it. It's sort of like going back to our youth, back to what John and I did many, many years ago in Team 23 and other bands. And we're getting old now, but we're enjoying it.
Where's the band based?
All over the place, really. I live near Henley in Arden. John's in Rugby, Bob's in Birmingham, Steve's in Birmingham. Meg is in Burton. Dave's in Lichfield. So, yeah, we were quite sort of regionally spread over the Midlands, really.
So where do you practice?
I'm fortunate enough to have a nice large music room in my house and very accommodating neighbours who don't live too close, but they all love the band, they love the music as well. So, yeah, we've been practicing there since 2011 and still do to this very day.
Some members of Soul Junction have experience of playing with well-known artists and bands. Can you tell me more about that?
Well, yeah, I think John's probably the most famous so far, and I think everybody knows what John did. I actually did a tour with Martha Reeves and the Vandellas way back in 79, 80, I think it was. I had one aborted tour. We tried to tour and we had an issue, so went back the next year and we did a few dates, London and Birmingham. So that was fun because it was like one of my all-time heroes. Motown heroes, and it just doesn't come along every day, and it's served me well over the years, and we still do Martha and the Vandellas songs in the set today. And also we were very big friends with Dexy's Midnight Runners. I played in the social club band with Pete Rowland in the late 70s. Was introduced to Kevin Rowland, who's obviously the leader of Dexy's, who played with a band called the Killjoys at the time, which later morphed into Dexys. I did the brass section. Pete eventually became the manager of a band I was in at the time called Soul Junction. In fact, my brother was drummer in that band. Pete then took on Team 23 and met John, and that was about 1980, I think.
1981?
81, sorry, yeah, 81. We did one gig, we did loads of rehearsals for 6 months, yeah. We had Mick, who was it, Jim Lansbury, Mick Gallick, Lynn Thompson, John. Mick Gallick eventually joined Dexys through Pete and Kevin, which we probably shouldn't talk about, and it's another story, a longer story for another day. So yeah, that was sort of his history. And we had some good times. And John then eventually joined King with Jim Lansbury, yeah, after Team 23. So it was a good breeding ground so King and Dexys benefited from the third iteration of Team 23 existing.
The most famous person really that I've ever worked with is Joan Armatrading. I was in her band. I was in the band that we all formed, and she was the singer in. It never got past the rehearsal stages. We never took it on stage, sadly. But she was a phenomenal singer back then, yeah, and as she is now. And then City Boy then came along a few years later, and when they broke up, Lowell Mason, the leading light in City Boy, he wanted to put together. There's a big salsa movement, the big salsa sound, and he wanted to jump on that bandwagon, basically. Jazz Babies, I think we were called. And that sadly never got past the rehearsal stage. Apart from that, I've done a 6-week tour back in the Platters. The Platters, they come over from the States, and they was doing a tour of the Bailey clubs, and I played bass with them doing that, yeah. That was nice while it lasted. That was an education, that was, in stage discipline. Yeah, and right. You're very much there to provide the music and nothing else. Yes. You don't move. Your amplification is right at the very back of the stage, and you're right up against your amplification. The stage is all for the Platters, which of course is what people have paid to see. Not unknown faces all dressed in black at the back of the stage, but. Yeah, it was an experience. I learned from it.
I think we've got a few other Pat as well, our tenor sax player, also played with the Sissy Stone band.
Yeah, and I did as well. I played bass.
Jerry Dammers was in it.
Yeah, Jerry Dammers was in it at the time, yeah.
Okay, guys, in 2013, the band went into the recording studio. Did anything come of that recording session?
We actually did some videos to back it up as well. So we did videos, and the videos were really good. Well, we think they're really good. It was with a slightly different We had Andy Morris on trumpet at the time. Andy was is probably best known for writing the first 3 albums for Lisa Stansfield, and he actually cooperated with Lisa on All Around the World, which is obviously the big single. I think Andy sort of still gets good royalties from that to this day. So he was our trumpet player, and very, very good. And we did these videos. I think we did about half a dozen songs. Yeah. We had them professionally videoed, and at the time cost us a reasonable amount of money. But we've had a few thousands, many thousands of hits on YouTube on them. We did things like Proud Mary, Soul Man, Shake Your Tail Feather.
these songs in the studios are very much with a view to promotion of the band.
In fact, that's when we had the keyboards, wasn't it? We had Dave Lynn on keyboards, and the vocalist, the same vocalist we've got today, Steve Clark and Megan Daniels, who Megan left the band a few years ago and has rejoined about 2 years ago now, and so we've pretty much got the lineup we've had for many years. So hence why we're really tight. If we're anything but tight, in both senses of the word. We're talking about Bob there, really, but never mind. And so we decided this year that we'd like to try a bit of original material. I'd written a few songs from years ago, and we thought we'd go back in the studio with a studio called Abatis, with a guy called John Priestley, who's a great producer and musician. Played with the Damned and Buzzcocks and, gosh, countless other bands. Godfathers, yeah, he's a great player. To do an original song, and we've literally just recorded that, and we're going to be releasing that on download shortly, and hopefully everyone's going to like it. But it is original, written. I wrote it originally, but about 1978, I think it was. So it's of the time, of the period, and the guys of the band have contributed, and we've changed the lyrics slightly. Steve's come up with some new lyrics to suit the vocals, and Bob and John have come up with a great bass line and a great drum track, and we're changing key halfway through it, which we weren't really going to do, but that was John's suggestion. That worked really well, so we're hoping everybody likes it.
I was invited over to that session last week, and I found it a really enjoyable experience.
We did an album with them of covers that we're going to be remixing very shortly as well. Just tweaking a little bit, but so we'll have we'll put an album out eventually with a couple of originals and just the standard covers that we normally do, and hopefully people are going to like that. But the reason why we did it is we want to get airplay, and we know that we can't get airplay playing covers.
That's the thing, is you see that we are a soul band, and primarily what we do is do covers of Motown, Stax, as best we can, and I think we do to a pretty high standard. So you're not focused on your own material. But Dec there is quite happily composing. I don't suppose he's ever stopped, but he's not presenting anything to the band. He's writing songs all the while. Nobody else is. We're just happy to play soul, But he then has come up with this particular song, and he put it out to the band. Everybody liked it and thought it had got legs, and it's worth developing, and what we've got now is what we've got. So, yeah. And it is very nice to go into the studio and do something that is yours, and it is,
it's more rewarding, definitely.
Yeah, much more,
Feel a bit of pride there, can't you?
Yeah.
I'm going to be playing Love Crush later in the podcast. Look forward to that. Okay, in 2014, the band toured the UK and Ireland. How do you find the experience?
Absolutely amazing. We never made money.
Didn't want to come home.
we never made money, but I would not have missed that experience for the world.
Stage invasion.
Oh, fabulous.
Oh,
yeah.
Look, brilliant.
Exactly what you'd hope. It was everything that you'd hope a Mad Irish gig to be, the couple of gigs we did. Wonderful weekend.
Yeah, we actually we bought some tickets, cheap tickets on, I think it was Ryanair, it was Ryanair. Yeah, we flew to Dublin. We hired a van in Dublin, and we hired the equipment in. We had some gigs in Nina and the Anchor Inn in Killaloe, that was it, County Clare, yeah. And it was just amazing. I mean, the people were fantastic. We turned up at a pub that was the guy from the Pogues local, Shane McGowan, that's the guy, yeah. That was his local. And we had a gig there, and it was a small pub. We got there, and it was full of what looked like probably farm labourers and agricultural guys all having a pint, watching rugby on the television. We thought, oh gosh, this is not going to go well. So we went down, we set up the equipment, sound check, went down the road, had a meal, came back about half an hour before we were due to go on at about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and it was full of the most beautiful women we've ever seen in our lives. It was just crazy, and one of the craziest gigs we've ever done, but very enjoyable, and we had a great time. They were such nice people, weren't they?
Yeah.
And it was typically Irish, and it was just so, the crack was fierce, as they say.
Yeah.
They got on stage with us.
We had a great night.
Okay, you're a soul band, but do you also play any songs from other music genres?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we do a lot of weddings. I would say weddings probably aren't our favourite thing to do, because, you know, we like doing gigs where people come to see what they're expecting. At weddings, you know, they're there for the bride and groom and the families, they're not there for the music. And if the music is good, then it's a bonus. But we do a lot of weddings, and we get requests to do songs, and we've done Tiny Dancer by Elton John. We've done quite a few songs that we wouldn't normally do. We did Uptown Girl. Generally, within the context of the show, we do standard soul music. We also do what we call blue-eyed soul, which is things like Everlasting Love by Love Affair. Yeah, so we do 70s disco as well as 60s soul and 60s blue-eyed stuff from people like Love Affair. We do a bit of ska, yeah. Well, coming from Coventry originally, and obviously the Specials, and you know, the original. John was on the original two-tone tour, so you know, we're sort of try and pay tribute to that. We don't do a lot of ska. We do Gangsters and Monkey Man, and then we finish off with an instrumental, Hawaii 5-0.
Does that go down well?
It does go down very well, yeah. People are jumping on their surfboards, they're pretending to surf, you know, because it's always late at night. It's always the very last song we do. Post-COVID
restrictions, has the band found it difficult to get gigs?
No, to be honest. We've got a very loyal following. Some of the places we've been playing for the last 12 years, or 11, 12 years. You know, and they're very loyal to us. We do very little of our own promotional gigs. That's, you know, pay on the door, hire us, which a lot of other bands do, I know. But we've, you know, most of the stuff we do at clubs. We're slightly too big for pubs, you know, and I don't want the band to go out for nothing and people have to, you know, dip into their own pockets, especially with the price of fuel and everything at the moment, you know, the way that the world's gone in the last 2 years, sadly. So we try to get a good fee, which we normally do. And as I say, with an 8-piece band, it's a big mouth to feed. You know, people have got, and the organisation, the logistics of it is quite difficult, because having 8 people together or on the same day is you know, not the easiest of things, and coordinated. But we have a WhatsApp page for the band that everybody contributes to. It turns out most of the time into jokes and stuff like that. But it's and we've also got a gig alert WhatsApp, which is, we put all the gigs on there so nobody misses it, and it doesn't go in with the general chat on the main page. But yeah, finding gigs hasn't really been that difficult. We've got an agent. We use Ashley Yates Entertainment in Sutton Coldfield for a lot of the gigs, and they Ashley does a great job for us. But most of the other stuff I do myself, so it's word of mouth and it's people I know, and I've been doing it for many years, so it's not really been that hard to do, to be honest.
How can the general public or a promoter get in touch with you guys?
Well, basically through the website, www.souljunction.net. We wanted .co.uk or .com, but somebody had it before us. So there is another Soul Junction, but they're in Cumbria, but they're not us. If you look on Facebook, we're Soul Junction with 8,500 followers. I think they've got 700 or 800.
I didn't know there were any venues up in Cumbria.
Apparently there are. Yeah.
Are there any interesting events or projects planned for 2023?
Yeah, we're going to be doing more recording and literally putting stuff out as much as we possibly can to try and get some airplay on local radios and you know, Heart, Absolute. We were on a version of Absolute Radio somewhere, weren't we? We had some tracks played a couple of years ago. But that's probably what we want to do. We could do a lot more recording next year. It's what we're certainly planning to do, because I've got several songs that I think are going to suit the band really well, that I used to do in soul bands, because I used to do I played in a Battle of the Bands contest in I think it was 79, 80, and we did 2 of our own songs which I wrote, which I'm going to revive and do with Soul Junction, and I think it'll work well. But yeah, I think the main thrust of 2023 is to fit a little bit more of our own material in there, because we've got some good musicians. We've got a a new guitarist with us because Marcus Webb, who was our guitarist for a long while, has left to join a tribute band to Fleetwood Mac. They're very good. They're called UK Fleetwood Mac, and apparently they do theatres and tour a lot. And he's got very little time now to, as he's travelling all over the country. And we're just local, so we've replaced Marcus with a guy called Dave Monks, who's from Lichfield, but great guitarist. And also we got Mick Beeston on trumpet, who's from Leicester. So yeah, we got we're looking to the future primarily to do a lot of recording and hopefully get some stuff out there.
Excellent. And I, for one, will be looking forward to hearing those new tracks of yours.
Thanks, Ray.
Well, that about wraps it up. Thanks again to Bob, John and Dec of Soul Junction for being my guests. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. Cheers.
You're welcome. The Northern Soul music and dance movement had its roots in the mod scene of the late 60s in the north of England, and one man, Dave Godin, was the main driving force for what became a major subculture. He was the owner of Soul City, a music shop dedicated to Tamla Motown, Chess, Brunswick and other American record labels. He noticed that visitors from the north of England requested rare upbeat soul records rather than the usual soul sounds the people in London listened to, and to help his staff to quickly identify exactly what Northerners were looking for, he classified those records as Northern Soul. Soon dance halls and nightclubs were attracting eager crowds. One of the most popular was the Golden Torch in Stoke-on-Trent. In early 1972, the club began hosting all-night dance sessions. Later, the Twisted Wheel Club in Manchester also started hosting all-night sessions from 8 p.m. Saturdays to 7:30 a.m. Sunday mornings. The DJs at the club became famous for playing singles that they alone only had, of rare copies directly imported from the States. Men wore baggy trousers, Ben Sherman shirts and brogues, and the girls wide circle skirts, vests and slim-fit shirts. The fans even had sew-on patches on their vests denoting their favourite clubs. Also a clenched fist patch denoting the Northern Soul movement. And the all-night dancers, they relied on uppers to keep their energy levels high. Northern Soul peaked around the mid-70s, with many clubs throughout the country dedicated to the movement, with the Wigan Casino considered the premier venue for Northern Soul music, attracting huge crowds. There were several reasons for its decline. There were changes in musical taste. During the late 70s, the advent of New York disco and funk attracted previous Northern Soul fans. Even Dave Godin's enthusiasm waned, saying he got tired of calling out ambulances and not being able to play the music he wanted. He soon moved on to other new interests such as progressive rock, but the Northern Soul music and dance movement still thrives. There is a YouTube video of the 2022 World Dance Finals held at the Blackpool Tower. The audience and dance contestants were a mix of young adults and those in their 60s and 70s, and together still keeping the faith. Coming up is an original track recorded at a Battis recording studio in Honolulu with Dec Byrne on sax, John Hewitt drums, Bob Hackett bass guitar, Patrick Gedd Smith also on sax, Dave Monk's guitar, Steve Clark lead vocals, Meg Daniels lead and backing vocals, and produced by John Priestley, Love Crush.
Ways to fall so low.
Some time ago, myself and drummer John Hewitt were talking about the much-loved band Squeeze. I recorded several minutes of it, and it's coming up now. Do you feel that Squeeze could have been bigger than they were?
I think they could have been, yeah. When they did the Hourglass, I think it was 1987, with Jules Holland and everything, and they seemed to split up again. But if they'd have all stayed together, I think they could have been really, really big. They were getting big in America at that point, and then they just split. So I don't know why they did.
Or is it an article and where they were compared to Lennon and McCartney? Do you know about that?
I do, yeah. That was in the early 80s. They were very much compared to Lennon and McCartney with the songwriting, because the Squeeze was so prolific in the writing. Pull for Cats and Labelled with Love, Up the Junction.
Great tracks, yeah.
And then they did the albums Argy Bargy, East Side Story, Sweets from a Stranger, the very first Squeeze album as well. But the songwriting was just absolutely amazing. And I do remember them being interviewed on television, and they were saying about, this is the next Lennon McCartney. And even Frank Sinatra did a covered When the Hangover Strikes off the Sweets from the Stranger album.
Right.
In 1982 that was released.
Glenn Tilbrook said that it went to their heads at first. They got a bit pompous about it. But then afterwards, it started to affect his writing, because he felt so under pressure to try and come up with songs that were equal to Lennon McCartney stuff.
I can imagine it being quite pressurised for him.
Okay, so the first single, Take Me I'm Yours. Great track, I love that. But then, I don't know if you recall, the second single, Bang Bang. I played it yesterday. I thought, yeah, I still don't like this track. I said, it's just so not them to me. I didn't think Glenn Tilbrook's voice was that good on it. I think it was produced by John Cale.
That's right, yeah.
And I think he had a lot of influence in it.
Yeah.
That second single, I think it got to number 62 in the charts. So perhaps I'm proved right about that. Then Goodbye Girl.
Oh, that's brilliant, yeah.
That, I think, should have been the second single.
Yeah.
And then Call for Cats, that got to number 2.
Oh, absolutely amazing, yeah. Because Chris Difford sung the vocal on that, not Difford, Glenn Tilbrook, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Difford did the vocal, yeah.
That's another thing. Their voices together, to me, really stand out in their singles. Glenn Tilbrook had a high tenor voice, and Chris Difford had a baritone voice.
Yeah.
And together, they really gel for me. It stands out. Mostly, I think that they're brilliant songwriters.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, yeah.
And what do the general public today think of Squeeze?
Probably never even heard of them, a lot of people, unfortunately. Although they're going back on tour again now, aren't they? So all the old fans are going to see them.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I thought Glenn Tilbrook was one of the best guitarists ever.
Yeah, underrated again.
Yeah, I've seen him loads of times, and I've met him as well. But I always rated Glenn Tilbrook as a guitarist. I mean, fantastic singer as well as a guitarist. Some of his guitar solos were absolutely amazing.
Yeah, like I say, another underrated guitarist. Brilliant, well thought out lead guitar work. Jules Holland.
Oh God, Mr. Boogie Woogie. Absolutely incredible.
Are you aware that they came out with almost 50 singles in their time?
I didn't know.
14 albums.
Amazing, isn't it?
Mostly their albums didn't sell so well. That's where they differ from Lennon and McCartney. I feel that Squeeze were more open to experimenting with their songs. If you listen to any album, there'll be some songs on there that are no way commercial. Just so different. Where we're affected by being compared to Lennon and McCartney.
I think it was because they were so prolific in the writing. Like the Beatles were, weren't they? They could just bang the songs out, and Squeeze were doing the same sort of thing up to a point. I mean, there was at one stage Squeeze was doing country and western stuff, like Labelled with Love, for instance.
Yeah, Labelled with Love.
You know, you've just done Up the Junction and stuff like that, and Call for Cats. The next thing you're doing Labelled, because they got involved with Elvis Costello in Nashville. So I think he produced Argy Bargy or East Side Story, something like that.
It was East Side Story.
Fantastic album that was.
If you listen to the album, yeah, there's a lot of Elvis Costello influence in it, in the lyric phrasing and some of the melody lines. I thought, yeah, this is Elvis Costello.
It's amazing, really, because Elvis Costello did the first Specials album, didn't it, as well?
Was it the first one he did?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, I thought that was Roger Lomas. Okay.
No, I think Roger Lomas was geared up to do it, and Elvis Costello did it because he had a few issues with Roddy as well. I didn't like Roddy's style, things like that. I mean, Elvis Costello got into country western anyway, in A Good Year for the Roses.
Yeah, a great track.
Just before that, yeah. It suited his voice and everything.
It really did, yeah.
And then Squeeze getting into that sort of stuff was quite unusual, really. You know, Pulling Muscles from the Show, Argy Bargy and Never Nail on My Heart. I mean, crikey, they're just amazing songs. And the drumming and everything, well, I'm biased with the drumming anyway, but Gilson Lavis was one of my heroes.
Oh, yeah?
Actually, yeah, I met him, didn't I, at Derby Assembly Rooms when they played there, yeah.
From what I can see is that their last single was, or was it an LP? I don't know. It was in 2017, Innocence in Paradise.
Not really got into that one.
Thanks again to John, Dec and Bob of Soul Junction for being my guests. On the next episode, my guest will be Max Ash of Sam Ash Music Stores in America. He runs a store in New York where I met him recently. The topic will be factors driving major acts to cancel shows and a shining spotlight on American ska. I think that's it. Yeah, it is. I'm done. Till next time.